Welcome to the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Abby.
And I'm Rob. We are two hopelessly romantic Disney enthusiasts,
Sharing fun stories, secret tips, and family travel experiences.
If you are a Disney newbie, or maybe a season pass holder, we hope you find this information helpful.
We turned our love of Disney into a unique boutique travel agency that books Disney and Universal vacations.
We've got a lot of stories, so cozy on up, choose your favorite drink,
Whether that be a cocktail or a hot chocolate,
and enjoy the Disney Hour Express.
welcome to episode 68 of the Disney Hour Express. We're so happy you're here, Pioneers. We can't wait to share with you all the fun things we've got planned for today. Today, we are recording on Cinco de Mayo, so it's May 5th, and we just had our most favorite celebrations yesterday of May 4th. May the 4th be with you always. And we had just a really fun time, right?
You know, I feel bad for May 3rd and May 6th because they're just like, we got nothing.
They're just the bread.
I'm sure somebody, yeah, exactly. They're the bread. I'm sure somebody came up with something like May 3rd is probably like National Albatross Day or something, or May 6th is National Microphone Stand Day.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we should create a day, you know, before and after. But at the same time, we're so into these 2 days.
Or what could be like Pioneer Day?
Pioneer Day.
Did you forget all about that?
No, see, I said welcome to the Pioneers.
Did you? I'll have to go back and check the tape on that one. Whether the dog wanted to go out, one came out, one came in. Abby's miming to me to vamp while she's standing away from her microphone. So yes, May the 4th.
I love that you just looked at me blankly, like as if you're like, well, what do I do?
So,
you're no longer sitting at your podcast
know what's
chair.
happening. So for May the 5th, because we're I don't want to say horrible people, but we kind of we like celebrating any type of
we love
holiday.
Yes.
Instead of actually finding out what the holiday is actually about, we just drink margaritas.
Well, we do. And we have our wonderful burritos and tacos.
This is going to be my first, even though those probably have nothing to do with Cinco de Mayo.
Probably not.
But we're just taking it as a be able to drink
a sign.
So I'm going to take the first sip. We just brought out the margarita maker.
Yes, it retired. Like, we usually are margarita drinkers in the summer, and so we put it away for the season, and now it's its first day back.
Do you really want a margarita when it's like 20 degrees out?
No,
a frozen,
really.
A frozen margarita.
But I'm excited to have it back. So, and here we go. Cheers to you, darling.
This is exciting for the listeners who are going to listen to.
Well, I'm going to let you have a drink while I talk about how he doesn't like salted rims, but I do, and I appreciate that he puts the salt on my margarita drink. What did you think?
Yeah,
first of the season, you did a great job.
Could have used a little more tequila. I think.
Gotta ease into it, baby.
I couldn't remember the measurements. I couldn't remember if I put more mix or more. Anyway,
I saw a hysterical meme, and I know I've seen it before, but it was basically like, you party in your 20s and you wake up and you're like amazing. You party in your 40s and you're like E.T. all strung out on the stretcher with like the mask on, and you're all wrinkled and disheveled. It's like, forget about it.
Not me.
Forget about it. Well, we have an exciting topic that we can just kind of like dive right into. This is really Rob's specialty. So yesterday on May the 4th, I was sitting there listening to Rob's sweet, sweet sleeping noises while I was watching Ahsoka by myself. And
I was there for the end of the season.
And I was thinking about lately, and maybe it's before, but I didn't notice. But over the past 5 years, I would say, when you go to Disney World, you see a bunch of couples in the T-shirts that say, I love you. And then the other couple of the pair has a shirt that says, I know. Right. And so I knew about it. Right. This is from Star Wars. It's a famous line from Star Wars. And I was just kind of like, huh. I mean, it makes me laugh, the whole thing, because of course, and when somebody doesn't say I love you back, you probably have a total internal meltdown moment. But I wanted to know more about this, and I wanted to ask Rob all about this particular moment and everything, all about it. So we're going to be a little bit of a Star Wars nerd. Last year, if you wanted to hear more about May the 4th, you can go, and about Star Wars in general, we have the episode from last May 4th. But this year, we're going to talk more just the specific details about this saying.
I mean, I'm sure the people are over May the 4th. They're like, we had enough.
Perhaps.
You made us watch that stupid video of Rob in
his
the yard
lightsaber.
with the lightsaber. We get it. You did it. So now even though we're hoping you're not too, over the Star Wars of it all.
Never.
Want to talk about
you
this.
Can't never be over the Star Wars. You know why? Because there's so many, like when you get to one of those roads that has the turnable thing and you can go in each and every direction. I feel like that's Star Wars. It has like the central circle, but then it branches out in like so many different directions.
The road, you're in the Star Wars rotary?
Yes, I'm in the Star Wars rotary. We could go. We could go places. It's crazy. So, but let's go back to this place.
Okay.
The whole I love you. I know. What was this scene about? Like, what happened before this and what happened during this? Like, what made this scene happen? Who's in this scene? Tell me about it.
Well, it's Han Solo and Leia Organa. They're in the scene.
But you were about to say Princess Leia. Why is she no longer Princess Leia?
I know, because you know what? It seems like that's more of where she started off with a princess, but then she became so much more, right? Because by the end of the series, she's General Organa. She's the general of the army of the rebels.
Which is intense.
Yeah.
And she seems to me like her personality totally fit general standards. Like,
she's so much more than
tough.
a princess, right? Because I guess princess has like that connotation, where it comes like, oh, a damsel in distress.
Yes,
I need the strong men to come save me. And
but although she really did throughout many parts of these movies need people to come rescue her, she was the damsel in distress, but she would have never highlighted herself as that. She is also a fighter and a strong woman.
Yes, but then there were so many times that the men also needed, like, Han Solo obviously needed to be broken out of Jabba's palace, and for sure, and she was just a part of a lot of the strategy and planning, I think. Yes. So just backtracking a little bit, which movie was this in again? Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, cool. And so he is about to be put into the Kryptonite chamber kind of thing, right? Oh my gosh. Did I say this incorrectly? Because Kryptonite is from some Superman, right? Okay,
yes.
Got it. Kryptonite is like the green thing. What is he put into? See, this is why I have to know. Rob's having a little mini Star Wars meltdown over there.
Carbonite. Close enough.
Kryptonite.
Carbonite. Okay. He's gonna be frozen. Yes,
he's gonna be frozen, but not like frozen like Anna frozen, like frozen in this thing that looks like it's concrete.
Well, yes, actually, he's gonna break into Love is an Open Door, and that's what. So that's what they exchange that first, and then it's that's where
there's so many things I could say about that song right now, but I won't. Okay, so gotcha.
Love is an Open Door is technically about swingers, but anyway, let's
So Leia's standing there next to Chewie, and he's like in this like almost like a
shackles.
He's in shackles, but he's in something that's going to lower down, and then he's going to be frozen, right? So I'm just setting up the scene here.
Yeah.
Now she kind of looks at him, but she doesn't even look at him like longingly. She looks at him almost like with a scolding look, right? And she's just like, I love you. And so I'm sure you knew this, but originally he was supposed to say, I love you back. But Harrison Ford said, like, this guy is not a lovey-dovey guy. Neither of them really were. And like, he was always the one to do the opposite thing.
Yes.
And so they did film it with him saying, I love you. But then they filmed it the way that Harrison Ford wanted to film it as well, with him saying, I know. And that's what made it into the final cut, right?
That's correct. See, you know everything.
I don't know everything.
No,
I mean,
do.
I just know
she was watching videos
I know
earlier.
A few things, but I just thought that was so interesting because I think it's very like Disney and very kind of warming if you were to get that I love you back, be like, oh, finally.
Well, remember that this was, at the time Empire Strikes Back wasn't a Disney film.
So when
it had nothing to do with
who owned it then?
So that was the 20th Century Fox.
Oh, okay.
Right, was the production company that put them out, even though it was, George Lucas and Lucasfilm. So it was like nothing really to do with Disney.
Yeah.
At all at that time.
Right.
So that's why it was just kind of that thing. Now, obviously, it was that Han Solo was supposed to be this, the lovable rogue that everyone wanted to be. Right. That's what he was supposed to be. That, women were supposed to want him, even though you never really get that part of it. Right. That he was supposed to be like this handsome, charming guy that was kind of like also would like screw things up like in his own way, but then make like he would make a bad decision but then make up for it in another way. Like he had a moral code, but he could also be kind of a bad boy too, right? Because he was obviously the controversial his introduction in when they're in the bar. And he's meeting Greedo and the whole thing with, who shot first, Greedo or Han. And, Han shot first. But they didn't. But that seems like that's not like a hero type thing. That's a villain, right? That's kind of like, and that's the whole. It wasn't until much later where being like an anti-hero was in vogue. That's where it was like in the 90s. It was like cool to be like a bad guy / good guy, kind of walking that line. And that's what Han Solo was supposed to be.
Gotcha.
Essentially, versus the farmer hero, the farm boy, Luke Skywalker, who's, all good. He wants to drink blue milk. Right. The non-alcoholic version, though.
Right, exactly. So, then that brings me to the complete opposite ways that these two grow up, like Leia and Han Solo, right? We don't really know how did Han Solo grow up, right?
Yeah.
And how did Leia grow up? Can you answer that question?
Well, I mean, Han Solo's, like, you don't really... They came out with a movie, and... God, what was that? When was that? Was it 2015, 20? I can't remember what year that was now. But they came out with the Solo, a Star Wars story, and it kind of showed his like background, like where he came from, and he was basically like he was an orphan.
So I haven't seen that movie. I have no idea what it's about.
It's not great. It's not very well liked. Most people just want to kind of forget about it. But
so they state that he's an orphan in the movie.
That he was an orphan. He was essentially in like this like work camp orphanage where they like made you go out and steal and rob things.
Oh, so he kind of like grew up in this kind of like
like in a crime world, sort of thing, and then he wants to like him and what's her name that plays Daenerys in Game of Thrones, like they're like kind of in the same place, and then they escape together, but then they get separated at the last second, and then his story about then it shows like how he meets Chewie and
and then so stuff. Like I mean they represent Chewie as being like his best friend, but really they're like family. This is they spend 24/7 together. Okay, interesting. And then Leia, she grew up in a little bit more privilege, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
she did. She grew up with her essentially adopted father was I get right now it's escaping me. He was played by Jimmy Smits in all the movies. His last name was Organa. He was like he wasn't a chancellor. I can't think of what he was, but yes, it was like they was raised as royalty, which we saw a little bit of in Obi-Wan.
I really liked that, seeing that background of her in Obi-Wan, because it just makes more sense on how she got her kind of pompous attitude a little bit, because she's used to she's very intelligent, first of all, and she's used to kind of getting her way just a little bit. And so when people aren't like bowing down to her and she's in the more rougher and tougher world, she's just kind of a little, she doesn't show that she's thrown off, but she shows that they need to meet her expectations, which is a really interesting quality that somebody can show when they're acting. And I think that Carrie Fisher does this so well.
Yes,
absolutely.
In the role. Spectacular.
Yeah, she was definitely a good choice for the role. Do you know, were there any other top runners for somebody who was going to play Leia? I said pay. I meant play Leia.
Well, I mean, somebody's going to pay Leia, but let's see.
I wonder. So while he's thinking about that, I was wondering, were they ever married? Were Han Solo and Leia married? I know that they had a son, right? Because he's in the rest of the films. It goes by Ben, right? Ben Solo. So you're saying, yes, they were married?
Yeah. I mean, at least that's the way I always understood it.
Okay. So that's interesting, because then they obviously parted ways, and we saw that a lot when Rey comes along.
I guess they don't really say that, though. And now that I think about that, they don't say like they were married, or they just say that they were together and they broke up, and whether they're, or does she say ex-husband? I don't remember.
Know.
I
mean, and maybe at that point in the world, marriage is not a plan. Maybe it's just like you have a partner and you do your thing, and you either stick it out with your partner or you don't.
Here's some people that were considered, according to, this isn't coming from George Lucas himself, but this is what people have found over the years. They said there was a cast member of Doctor Who from back in the day, whatever, we're not going to get into that. Jane Seymour.
These were all who could have been Leia.
Yeah, who could have been. They said Gina Davis.
Oh,
was
how
actually
interesting.
Yeah.
Gina Davis.
Wonder how that would have worked. Yeah, because I guess she was, even though like her first acting gig wasn't until like 1982, and she was in Tootsie, but I guess she was around until then.
I can't.
Pretty interesting.
I feel like, would she have depicted that strength?
She also read for Sarah Connor and the Terminator as well. So those are like two like
really big
iconic,
roles
badass women. Also on this list says Sigourney Weaver. That would have been interesting, right?
That would have been
Ripley and Princess Leia. Like that would have been a lot.
I mean, Sigourney Weaver, I could totally imagine in this role. Her and they have like a lot of similarities in that, like, you will meet my expectations look.
But see, I wonder also if it has something to do, right? Because I mean, at least Gina Davis is like a taller woman, right? And Sigourney Weaver, I guess, comes off as tall.
Yeah,
but maybe she's not that much taller. But again, like in the original New Hope, it's like you're supposed to be led to believe that it's kind of like a triangle, right? And Mark Hamill always seems like a smaller person to me. I couldn't tell you how tall he actually is,
right?
Maybe, but could be Kim Basinger.
Okay, I can't picture her there. Can you?
I mean, no, not necessarily. Angelica Houston. Sissy Spacek.
Interesting.
Cindy Williams. From Shirley of Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, okay.
And, she was very popular at the time.
Yeah.
And kind of has that. I could kind of see that. And then this is interesting. Jodie Foster.
Oh, no. Nope. Jodie Foster would have come off as too rough, right? Carrie Fisher had some very delicate edges, although she had the edges. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I could see. I mean, Jodie Foster was really popular around then.
It's worth noting that Foster was 14 at the time, whereas Fisher was 19.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That probably had a lot to do with it, right? Because there were a lot of questionable things that they did make Carrie Fisher do. During this filming that would not be allowed now.
The last one on this list is she's known as one of our greatest living actors.
Interesting.
Meryl Streep.
Oh. Huh. Now, and you can go down that whole rotary, right? Of if one of these women had been chosen for this role, would they have had ended up in the lifestyle that Carrie Fisher led, right? Because she had a pretty rough go of it for a few years there. So one of the perhaps not well known but known facts is that during this filming she did have a love affair with Harrison Ford, who was a married dad at the time. And things happen. We don't know. Maybe he was in the end of his relationship and on his way to divorce or something. Mm-hmm. We have no idea where he was at in his relationship, but she did describe it as a very, a moment where she had to walk away after their relationship and reassess stuff for herself. And I imagine, when you're cast in a role, my understanding is they're looking for all those things like chemistry and how you react, because you have to have that chemistry that shows through into your TV and into the people on the other side.
Yes.
I know we've all seen movies where there haven't been chemistry and you just can't watch it because you're like, this is so fake. This is like a brother and sister. Ugh, this is gross. So
speaking of that, sidebar, right? Abby and I just this past Friday went and saw Fall Guy.
Oh yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah, it was good. It was entertaining. It was great action sequences with all the stunt people, amazing stuff. But that stars Ryan Gosling and I'm blanking on her name right now.
Oh my gosh, she plays Mary Poppins. Her name is Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt.
Yes.
Yeah,
Emily Blunt.
And maybe there's enough tequila in this.
I love both of them.
How did you think their chemistry was?
I thought it was great. I think Ryan Gosling has a way of looking at women that he's playing the intimate interest of. It's his classic look that he does towards them. And it's good. It made it look good to me. Although I felt like they didn't have a lot of intimate moments because most of the movie is about them being separated, even though he really wants her back. And she's kind of like, F you left me. And so, it was a cute movie. That being said, when he did The Notebook, they hated each other, the two leads in that movie.
Rachel McAdams.
And they didn't get together till after the movie, which I find so interesting. How did they make that work so well when they absolutely couldn't stand each other on set?
Well, but they're also very combative in that movie.
They are.
And it's really sometimes it's kind of when you watch that, you're like,
is this an appropriate relationship?
They were in arguments all the time, and they had big, heated arguments. But
they really did. Yeah, you're right. So maybe that was better for the movie. And if he was really into her during the scenes, maybe it would have been very different. Yeah, it could have been.
Also, side note of side notes, that was Abby and I's first date. Movie theater date.
It was. Yay. Oh my gosh. Anyways. Okay. So back to it. So, all right. So I wonder if this role is kind of what made Carrie Fisher go kind of in the direction that she went with life choices. Maybe not. Yes. Maybe it's just personality, which is totally
I mean, it's,
but it was a hard
obviously,
role.
I mean,
it was not easy.
But and also, I mean, obviously, any of the cast, it just it catapulted them into, their fame. Yeah. I mean, this was like the biggest movie. I mean, to come for years. I mean, Star Wars it was a phenomenon that took over everything.
It was huge, but you saw, so Harrison Ford played roles that were very Harrison Ford, right? After this, like he was always the guy that Indiana like Jones would get slapped by women and like, did something naughty, but he was really the good guy. Almost every single movie you'll see him in, almost every single role. But do we see, who played Luke Skywalker again? I'm sorry.
Mark Hamill.
Do we see Mark Hamill in much?
No, he doesn't really, he never... Yeah, see, that was the thing, right? Mark Hamill can never really figure that out, right? He couldn't, like
he couldn't get out of the typecast or something.
Like he was always going to be Farm Boy Luke. And on top of the fact that he did have in between the first, in between that and Jedi, he had, even actually, I think it was between Empire Strikes Back, he had a injury. He had a motorcycle accident, I believe. That's
right. So that's kind of why his facial features are a little bit different, right? So what happened really in that motorcycle accident? Like how did that come about? Like it was just his face, or was it a body that was everything?
I believe it was just the face.
Wow.
But I mean, that's where you could see it. I don't really know, be honest with you, the details on it, but yeah, you can see there's obviously a difference in how he looks.
But they also kind of added that in, though, didn't they? Add in the facial injuries. Like there is like I thought a fighting scene where they have him and you can see his face and they have like pads and stuff on it and in the movie. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm making that up. In any case,
I wear pads around the house. That's just, I'm wearing patches. I wear an eye patch. I'm a pirate.
That's what she's thinking. Cinco de Mayo. Anyways, so have you?
And Carrie Fisher obviously also came from famous parents.
She had famous parents. Yes.
Eddie, her father was a singer, Eddie Fisher, and then her mom was Debbie Reynolds, who an actress.
So she was already in the lifestyle, and perhaps this is why she did so well in the role. I don't know. She had a lot going for her, for sure. And I loved that her daughter when Carrie Fisher made it to the what do they call it, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, her daughter wore a dress with her mom's face on it and everything, and it was a beautiful dress. And Mark Hamill was also present during that. I think this was last year that they did it near May the 4th, and I thought that was so nice that they were both there together. So anyways, I have kind of a conspiracy theory question.
She was watching videos, I told you.
Who are Rey's parents? Is it actually, could it be? Could it be that this was Leia's daughter? Could it be that this was, but why would it be their daughter? Why would they let their daughter go?
All right. So let's back up for a second.
Or is it Han
yesterday, right?
Offspring?
I couldn't remember. We typically watch Star Wars movies, and I had made the girls sit through Force Awakens, which is a better movie than The Last Jedi, which they actually kind of liked. And we yesterday couldn't remember whether or not Abby and the girls have seen Rise of Skywalker, which is the finale.
Which he only shows up in the end, right? Or is he throughout the whole thing?
We're talking about Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
Or are we talking about Han Solo? What are we talking
about? Luke Skywalker. But anyways, okay.
But yes.
Let's keep going.
But she's conflating everything.
I still don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no. So obviously we didn't watch Rise of Skywalker last year.
Okay.
Because you would know or at least the story that they tell you is who Rey's parents are.
Oh, man. So it's not a conspiracy. People actually know. Well, and I'm the only one. I'm the last one to know.
So there we go. So we have to watch Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. And so they explain who Rey's parents are.
Yes.
That's so interesting to me. I would really like to see that. I'm sorry for asking a question that there's already an answer to.
That was that was one of the great like the parts of Rey, because Rey had this like natural Jedi ability, and she was waiting. They had the whole thing where she didn't know where her parents were. She was waiting for her parents to come back, and you were like, that was like the whole part of Force Awakens was like, who is she? Like, where did she come from?
Right.
You know, where
she's
is
smart? She's independent.
Yeah, because
she's
then
strong.
everyone was like, did Mark did Luke Skywalker have a love child? Because
so it's more like a Luke Skywalker thing.
Jedi are known to not, like, they're supposed to be basically priests or monks, and they're celibate for the most part. Their house just shaking.
No, I think it was just somebody moved a chair.
Fantastic. It could be another earthquake.
That's true. We have been having those lately.
So there was this whole thing where it kept your mind was going, and who were the parents? And of course it came to, it could have been Leia and Han, but they would have probably would have known, and they could have done something like, well, we raised a bad Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, we gotta get rid of the other one.
But this would make more sense. Like, there's a scene where after Han Solo dies, and Chewie and Leia were like besties, right? Because they had Han and
they'd been through so much
during
together,
this. Like, Chewie just like ignores Leia, but Leia runs over to hug Rey.
Yes,
and it's like, but they don't know each other. Why are they comforting each other? Is this like an actual opening to them? And possibly, I need to watch the movie now, folks.
Yeah. And part of it is that, because yes, that scene was also, in the Reddits of the world and such, that they've like picked that scene apart, and yes, why didn't they have? Yeah. And that's why, spoiler, you're going to see them hug. Like Chewie be very upset.
Okay. Yeah.
About Leia.
Okay.
And yes, like anything that they have. But that scene was picked apart. The reason, like, why they say they hugged is that they're all like users of the Force.
Yeah.
Is that they can feel everything, and that obviously that they know that Rey, even though she had known Han for a very short amount of time, they had like a close relationship, kind of like a father-daughter relationship. Yes. And that's what she was looking for all that time. She was looking for her father, and that she could have found it in Han. And I would have liked to have seen that story. I would have liked to have seen Rey and Han and Chewie just traveling around the galaxy. That would have been a fun time for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been. So interesting. So I wonder what we're going to find. Is it really that Ben and Rey are some sort of weird siblings that fight each other? Well, we've got some of those here. So.
Some of us know, and
some of us named Abby do not.
So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but also prepared to be let down.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry that
she didn't hear my spoiler.
I did. I heard it.
Okay.
Well, okay. So, I mean, anything else you want to tell us about this epic scene of the I love you? I know.
I mean, just that scene alone, I can't say that I do. I mean, I've had multiple years since I've seen the Star Wars movies, but I've always, like, all my theories and such is that, again, originally they kind of made it seem like that Luke and Leia were going to be the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then it changed when they decided to make them, like, oh wait, there's siblings. Okay, George Lucas. Why? It's just like so random. And he says like that he had this story beforehand, like he knew, but then like you also obviously Luke was into Leia. Whether
he really
Leia
wanted us to all have a Freudian moment.
Yeah, whether Leia was into Luke, I have no idea. But they did share a kiss.
Yep.
A non-sibling type kiss, but
right.
But
it was more so to make a jealous move for she's trying to make Han jealous,
and that's where I would say that. Right,
not that you should be kissing your siblings.
Similar to the couple we talked about in The Notebook, whose names I could not tell you right now.
Sure.
they kind of had that same sort of intensity, whereas they kind of despised each other, but also cared for each other and understood that.
Yep.
In a way, it's maybe because Han, like, maybe reacted to her in a different way than anybody else had because, you know, she was always royalty and so on and so forth.
Yeah. He like didn't care about her having the dough, I guess. Well, yeah. Babe, if you had said I know when I said I love you, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done.
You don't know.
You would have been in that Carbonite as well.
Would it have been, though? You might have been like, I love this nerd.
I don't know. I guess we won't find out.
Know. I know. I don't know.
So there's a lot of kind of news, like little newses that hit.
Little newsies.
Little newsies. I mean, so today they just announced that tomorrow, as in May the 6th, they're going to announce all the Halloween information for Disney parks because it is halfway to Halloween. That is super exciting. Their images that they released today had a bunch of the Disney villains on there. So there's got to be some sort of special fun Disney villains nights that's going to happen. So this is, I think, something good's going to happen.
All right. I like it.
Halfway to Halloween.
And we are halfway there, and get ready for at least 6 months of Halloween episodes from us. So that's all we'll talk about like we did before.
I don't know about that. I think we were pretty good about containing it a little bit.
Yes.
What kind of news do you have?
Well, like you said, I got some little bits. I got some, not little horses, because over at the Circle D Ranch.
Yes, I heard this.
Yeah, in fact, Abby was told me about it initially. I guess the horseback riding over at the Fort Wilderness Resort has been, I guess, is unavailable most days until further notice.
Well, I thought that didn't start till July, though.
Yes, beginning July 13th.
Okay. Yeah, so up until then, it should be fine. The reason is because they're doing construction over there. Now, listen, in the middle of July and August, do you really want to get on the back of a sweaty horse and sweat on them anyways? It is hot, folks. I mean, give these horses a break.
I don't know if I want to do that at any time.
Oh, well, I do. I love that, but not there. Not in the middle of summer.
It does hot. Say if that was something that you did and that was something that you look forward to on your Disney vacation, it might not be available. What Disney is saying officially is beginning July 13th, horseback riding will be temporarily unavailable Monday through Friday at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground due to construction. However, rides may be available on Saturdays and Sundays during this time. Check the My Disney Experience mobile app on Friday of each week to see if horseback riding is happening on the following Saturday and Sunday, and if available, reserve a ride.
Okay, so
that's a lot of information.
I know, this is why you have a travel specialist, though. Honestly, like, because who's going to remember that when they're in their throes of their busy lives?
That's also something. It seems so out there to me, is to go to Disney and go horseback riding. Like, it just seems like that's not even like a consideration.
But it's not for you. For me, I've definitely looked into it, and I know that we have a child who's not age appropriate. They'd only let her on the ponies at this point, and when she's been for real horseback riding and horseback camp, going on a little pony that's tethered and goes round and round, this is not going to work for her. So I've definitely looked into it. I think because we don't go horseback riding as much as we used to, it would be a special treat for us. But yeah, that's not your thing. So yeah, you wouldn't look into it.
Yeah. Anyway, so but you know what? That's also like, I guess for us, it's also to do anything outside of the parks is kind of.
It is. It's not easy to get to things like that. Like, yes, I understand Fort Wilderness is like a hop and skip away, but if you really think about it, you've got to get a minivan or an Uber or somewhere that's going to take you directly there, unless you're going to go if you're at a park and then you go.
You got to do the bus transfers and stuff. So
it's not easy.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. Over in Magic Kingdom, this is kind of like a story, but the Town Square Theater, right? There's a meet and greet for Mickey, right? You can see Mickey Mouse, before the pandemic, you can meet Mickey Mouse and Tinkerbell.
Okay.
There was a meet and greet. Since the pandemic, they stopped doing meet and greets. Then they came back. It was just Mickey, but the sign to meet Tinkerbell was still up.
Okay.
It has now finally been replaced where it's just double Mickey. It just says like, come Mickey.
They couldn't have.
So like Tinkerbell is like not coming back to the Town Square Theater.
But you know what? Like just thinking of that, poor Tinkerbell probably got harassed like crazy. I could see why that would not be
interesting.
Inappropriate. I really do. I think she probably got like totally harassed by like weird people and.
Well, but that's like any the characters. Like I mean, Ariel or.
Yeah,
they all kind of like.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's like I would never touch any person. That's any of those people.
Because
like,
you are a decent human being.
I would stand back and I do the old air.
Right.
Like,
So, but I think on this podcast, I even said like I accidentally was like posing for a picture with a cast member and I put my hand on their back. And as I was doing it, I kind of was like, I don't know this person. Why am I touching them? But you get so lost in the moment where you're like, I grew up with this character in my stories and stuff. And you just kind of like forget. And so at that moment, I felt like the skeeziest of skeezes for touching this person's back. I was like, I am so sorry. I'm terrible.
Well, it's better from you than like a creepy old guy.
Right. But I felt like the creepy old guy at that moment. I was just like, oh my God, they don't know me either. But yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Anyways, poor Tink's not coming back.
Tink ain't coming back.
Okay.
Tink ain't coming back. So now that was basically all my Disney news. I have over in our friends at Universal.
Oh, yeah. They are gearing up for some epic events.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yep.
I think she wins the segue.
I dove right into it.
Yeah, she's got right into it. So they announced that, or they released a trailer for the Super Nintendo World.
Yes. It was pretty long.
Yeah, it was like a 5-minute trailer, and it kind of shows you the worlds, and obviously they have the Super Nintendo World over in Universal Hollywood already, but this is going to be a much more expansive part of the park. So they did show that it has the 3 areas. It's make it. I pulled this up. Yeah, so they have there's the 3 rides in there. There's a Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, there's Yoshi's Adventure, and then there's going to be Minecart Madness, which is the Donkey Kong ride. Okay. And then they have like all these interactive, what they're just like referring to as, I don't know if it's this, you go through like a portal and it opens up in this big like Super Mario world, right? And they also released,
very cool
they all look very cool. And that, so it kind of, one of the things that also came out was like the height requirements. So it kind of shows you like what the levels of the different rides are going to be. So for Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, which is a 3D 4D experience with motion simulation, the height requirement's 42 inches. Right, which is so that kind of shows you it's more of an advanced ride. Yeah. And that's like you're going to be augmented reality in a cart, and it goes around, and it's like you're in Mario Kart. If I'm sure most people, even if you're not a gamer, your kids have played Mario Kart at some point. They also have Yoshi's Adventure, which is more of a family ride. They're calling it, and that's supposed to give you like great views of the park because it's like elevated and it's cute, and that's going to be minimum height 36 inches. So that, again, that's a family ride. Slower moving. Yeah. You're in like a Yoshi and it just goes along a track, which Universal is has those rides in like every one of their lands, right? It seems like just about. Then the last one is Mario Kart Madness or Minecart Madness, and that's the Donkey Kong ride. And that one's supposed to be a more thrilling ride. Okay. So not for every youngsters, even though 36 inches is the minimum. But it's anybody under 48 inches must be supervised or accompanied by an adult. Yeah. In order to get on. And that one's more like you're in a minecart, and it has like these simulated, like you're in jumps. Like I can't even get into it. It's too much. Okay. But it's going to be fun. And then all the other stuff is they have all these kind of interactive areas where like you have to find like a golden star or collect coins, and you're using things, and that's open for anyone at any age, any height.
Yeah.
You could go up and punch some of the question marks and collect them on your parents' mobile device.
Right.
But you have to buy that power band, right? Because they're smart. They're like, well, you're going to pay $60.
I know. But then you can compare to other families, right? Where you're at,
Yes.
or is that something else?
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, that's what they've gamified.
Yeah,
essentially the
that's fun.
the experience.
I wonder how many like fist injuries they're gonna have for like
There could be quite a
hitting
few.
all that.
There could be
like
quite
fractures.
They also, we reported a couple weeks ago, right? We talked about what they were going to do for their summer. They were going to have this whole summer movie thing. And they did come out like the next day, and they said that, they're going to have a parade, and it's going to be the mega movie parade. And they're going to have a show on over the water in their lagoon area. And it's called Sensational.
Yes.
And that was actually, they said that they confirmed there's going to be drones in that show. So that's going to be like cool. And it's going to all talk about the years past, like the movies that are associated with Universal Studios, and there's huge. There's Ghostbusters, there's Jaws, there's E.T. I mean, they have a lot to mine of that. So they have also, there's going to be a summer tribute store that's opening up. They kind of released like there's 2 windows, and of course they like to tease things. So the windows are closed, but there's like one item that you can see in like in front of the curtain. The first one is our good friend Earl the Squirrel.
Well, hey, Earl.
Yeah, which is like an icon of the park that showed up in the Christmas time. There was a whole lore about the squirrel that ate the wires and all these things that happened. But there's a squirrel, and then in the other window there's a VHS tape that's like broken.
Huh.
So they're just kind of playing you along. So again, it's going to have, probably more Jaws and Ghostbuster stuff inside that tribute store.
That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so that's going to be something cool to look at. There's public auditions are being held for Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh,
Universal Studios.
Because they already have those all ready to go.
Yeah.
Now, just to backtrack a little, with all this news about, what's coming in 2025 for Universal, I like literally thought to myself, I was like, dang it. We were going to do something different next year. And now I feel like with all this stuff, like, how could we not?
Epic Universe.
It's the Epic Universe.
Yeah, it looks pretty amazing.
It looks so cool.
It does look pretty cool.
That was my little roundup thought.
We're going to have to wait it all out and
know.
see what the budgets and time constraints allow.
All the things. We are one busy family, that is for sure.
One other thing, and I've kind of been reporting on this all along, and it's kind of been hinting is that there's more evidence that there's going to be new spells and wands coming to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. In Universal. So like they've closed like parts of Diagon Alley are now like kind of being like in front of Dervish and Bangs. The Owl Post window is like blocked by construction walls for the last few weeks. And so they keep like doing all these things where it looks like they're either adding or replacing the interactive wand areas that were coming up, and that they've been selling interactive wands for cheap and or giving them away in promotions.
Interesting.
Now, going back to what you were saying about kind of the gamifying of it, people are saying that they're going to like gamify the wands. Like, are you going to be able to, you say you say a spell correctly and light it up, and it's going to show up on your whatever, and it's going to add points to your family, and whoever wins gets the Tri-Wizard Cup or something.
Okay.
Who knows, but
that would be cool.
It seems like it's something, because it's going to give you more reason to stay in those areas, right? Because after you do it, because there's not like there's one ride at Diagon Alley, besides doing like the besides going to get the wand and seeing that whole thing, right? There's just the one ride. And then there's like a show that shows up sometimes, but you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So they want to keep ways to keep you in there because it's such a cool area, but you need a reason to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So between that and Hogsmeade, which Hogsmeade has more rides than Diagon Alley, but I kind of think Diagon Alley is cooler.
Yeah, it is. It's more of that like classic feel. I feel like you're super immersed in it.
Yeah, so it definitely seems like they're going to be adding that. There's nothing official from Universal yet. It's all kind of conjecture, but
okay,
we'll get you there. Over in all the way across the country in Universal Hollywood, they've officially announced the new roller coaster coming. It's called Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift.
Are you really excited about this, being a Fast and Furious fan?
I mean...
Totally.
Kind of. I mean, I'm kind of excited because it's going to be the first outdoor roller coaster in Universal Hollywood.
Oh,
How many outdoor coasters? Anything that is like it's all inside. Mummy Returns and stuff like that. So that's going to be a little interesting, and it's supposed to be like
cool.
State of the art, super like all technologically advanced and everything, and thrills by the minute. It's going to be like you're drifting in a car, kind of that feeling, because they have the big thing that's like a thing that they do in cars is drifting. The third Fast and Furious movie is called Tokyo Drift.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's coming now. Do you want to know when it's coming?
Sure.
2026.
Oh boy. All right.
So it's a little bit of a ways away.
Okay. All right. Something to get excited for in 2026. Good to know, though.
But it looks like Universal is expanding. Universal is trying to get over. I think they're trying to open something in France.
Well, I thought it was in London.
Oh, maybe it was in London.
Are they?
Yes, maybe it was in London.
Yeah, they there was a lot released over in London recently.
They said that UK, like the Parliament said that they're not like gonna. They're not going to even like talk about it until like it's officially summer.
Official. Yeah. Which is, it's an interesting concept considering what we have seen this year is Universal cutting budget, right? We've seen them closing parts of the park and letting, delaying staff members coming in at certain times. Now, so I understand this is probably because they're funneling money to different expansions and whatnot, but it is like you don't want to lose the quality in one park to enhance something else somewhere else that you weren't going to see. It's just going to make this park go way downhill, which is...
And then it's kind of like also... considering Islands of Adventure is going to be celebrating its 25th anniversary. Right? So like all these things kind of like, you want to make sure it's being kept up or the, that they're refreshing things like, the Simpson area like kind of needs a refresh. And, a lot of like the other rides are just kind of, like Men in Black could be cooler. I mean, there's like so many different things you feel like they could put time into besides opening more Minion stuff, which we still have to experience that ride. I heard it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's another ride that they've like gamified. You play that game. It's a simulated shooting game, and that also like they keep score for you. Yeah. So Universal's doing stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's all awesome. I'm excited to see where it all goes. Yeah. Hey, do you want to pick a number?
How about 68?
Ooh, for episode 68.
Episode
I like
68
it.
of D&G.
All right. To celebrate Goofy's 90th birthday in 2022, one woman set a record for collecting the largest number of Goofy memorabilia. She got 1,825 items. Wow. Could you imagine 1,825 Goofies in your home?
Well, I'm looking forward to you. Now we're going to take 23 minutes for you to read off the list of each item.
No.
All right, I'll sit here and finish my margarita.
You. I will not.
No?
But we appreciate you joining us for this episode of the I Love You, I Know let's hope that they say, I love you back, folks. That's all. Have a great week, Pioneers. We'll see you next week.